Hi, good afternoon, class. So, this will be the continuation of our lesson last time. So, I have already discussed to you the fault tree analysis to determine all the causes that the top event has. So, we can check and mitigate those causes to avoid it from happening. But now we will have the classic fault tree analysis example calculation. Okay, so take for example in this photo we have the plants. Okay, maybe this is just a rice field and then it was burned. So the problem is plant burns down. So we have used here the AND gate. So if the AND gate was used, you need to satisfy all of the conditions. Okay, so in this case, combustibles. So probably there are some chemicals that are present in the scenario. Also ignition, which triggers the combustibles, and then the fire was out of control. Okay, and then as you can notice, we have here the primary events in circle symbol, but for the rectangle symbol, this is ignition. It means that it has some sub trees, or a more analysis can be made on this event. Okay, so for the ignition we use the OR gate. Okay, so when we have the OR gate, it means that this is the union of all of these causes. So when we say union, either, okay, either of these events might happen. Unlike here, for the end, it is the intersection, so it means that you need to satisfy all of the conditions. Okay, for the or, we have the smoking, okay, that might cause the ignition. Maybe it sparks that might cause the ignition, and also the short circuit maybe may cause the ignition. Okay, but for the burning of the plants, we have the combustibles. It also needs the ignition and also needs the fire out of control for it to be considered as the top event, or the plant burns down. So hopefully this FTA, or the fault tree analysis, is clear with you, because we are going to create to apply some calculation for it. So take for example, the score of combustibles is PA, or the probability of it happening, is 0.9, and for the out of control probably it's 0.2, and for the ignition it is determined by three causes. Maybe smoking, which is probability of B1 0.02, B2 sparks 0.06, and B3 so short 0.03. So we are going to calculate the probability of the causes. So the first thing that we need to calculate is the probability of B. So what is B? This is the ignition, because it has some underlying reasons in it before we get the actual value of ignition. So how you can determine the probability is using the probability of B1 union B2 union B3. So these are the causes, or the primary events. Then you're going to have 1 minus product of the 1 minus probability of B1, 1 minus probability of B2, 1 minus probability of B3. And then you're going to do some substitution. Okay, so for B1 is 0.9, 0.02, B2 0.06, and B3 is 0.03. So if you already have the product of these scores, you're going to less it to 1. 1 minus 0.89356 will result to probability of B is 0.11. Okay, so as you can notice, when we use the union, we can also use the addition. So it will become like a shortcut or an easier way to determine the probability of B. Take for example, we have the B1 0.02, B2 0.06 is equivalent to 0.09, and then when you add 0.03, it will be equivalent to 0.11. So this will yield the same result. Okay, so instead of doing this formula, you can determine the score of ignition easily by adding this causes, okay, adding their scores. So we will use add, if and now we will use multiplication. Okay, so we already know the score of the ignition, so it is 0.11. So we're going to have some substitution on it. Take for example the probability of A union B union C. Okay, so the probability of A is already available, 0.09. The calculated probability B, based on our first formula, we have 0.11 and 0.2. So the product will be 0.019. So the probability of a plant that burns down will be 0.019. Great. So this example is based on the Open Educator YouTube channel.